I prefer Lauryn Hill's artistry to Erykah Badu's artistry, and it's because
the common listener, they are used to digesting music in a certain way to where if you actually don't do the things that they're used to, they'll not like it and won't know why they don't like it.
Spiritually thinking, if you're in tune with what your purpose is and what your productivity is trying to put out, do not overthink it. Do not come with that bullshit.
I said it's nothing to me, ain't new to the ring. I son anybody who want it with me. The stupidity, if it's I and it's you, well then one of these things is losing to me. Who could it be? Will it be you? Indubitably.
Post Bader, the undisputed podcast for the independent music industry, with your hosts Clef Wonder, Jordan, and Calvin II.
Yo, what it do, y'all?
Yeah.
How you feel?
Hey, feeling good.
It's your boy Jordan, and my boy Clef, and my boy Calvin, and today we're here to have a very,
Calvin a second.
very, controversial discussion.
Is it?
Controversial.
Maybe
I
not
don't know if it's
controversial.
It might be.
We're here to clarify
I don't
some
know yet.
things. You know what I'm saying? Share some thoughts and opinions and stuff like that.
I don't know yet. But
So I want to direct this question to whoever wants to answer it first. I want to know, so we'll actually break this up into three, but the first one, so essentially the question is what makes great blank, in the music industry. So the first thing that I'll ask is what makes great songwriting?
Well,
so this is a great episode.
Yes, it's the great episode.
yeah, this is a great one. You want to go?
No.
Oh, yeah, that dramatic pause.
I meant,
that
I just realized you was talking to me, and I was like, nah, you can go first.
No, okay. Of course, that we should put in the thing, all art is subjective, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of mainstream art is not subjective. It's very much, no, this works or this doesn't. Over a course of time and everything, there are absolutely tangible things that you can point at and be like, oh, well, this works when you do it or it doesn't. So I guess you would have to first decide what good means. You mean like, oh, I like it, or the public like it? It's popular, it works on a bigger basis and whatnot. I mean, that's not necessarily the question, but I'm curious, what are your thoughts? Do you think like what makes it good to you or an individual, or what makes it good to the populace?
Are you asking if it's like, a professional opinion or like just the mass appeal?
Yeah, well, I like.
Oh, that's
honest,
that's a good way to clarify it. I would say because I feel like we should give it a professional opinion.
Yeah, we have to.
Because I don't know necessarily. I'm not in the mind of the
songs
masses.
that I like that even work.
Yeah,
but they're not necessarily well written, or you can't replicate them in a way that's gonna give you a better chance of success.
Right.
And this industry is hard enough in itself without working against yourself.
Yeah.
So like you definitely more in a more professional, popular way of what's going to work, but also be maybe good to an artistic thing or whatever. Because people are gonna have mad opinions. So these are our opinions.
Okay.
For me, I mean, the songwriting thing is so big. I'll say this: one of the big things that helped me out as a songwriter was when I stopped trying to be so much of an artist, and I realized that there are formulas, and that formulas aren't evil. There are structures that have worked for the last 100 years. And so a thought that I had was, I was like, this isn't even the way that humans like to listen to music. The man is in a building somewhere and he's telling everybody, you got to listen to music like this. And as I got older and actually worked in record labels, it was like, no, record labels are stingy and selfish. If y'all like it, they're going to push more of that. They are following what y'all are buying. So if ultimately there was a style of music or, a format, like we don't really have third verses anymore. Why? Because the public kind of pushed it that way.
Yeah.
Songs are much shorter right now.
They said we tapped, they just changed it.
It was really Drake's fault. Drake stopped doing third verses, and then he was at the top and the leader, and so everybody stopped doing third verses.
Oh, really?
And, oh, yeah. No, he would just kind of have an instrumental outro thingy, and then the song would just go away. And, it worked. So that being said, one of the biggest things that helped me is that, like, I learned that I used to look at songwriting formats as like a prison cell, and I learned that it's a guardrail going up the side of a mountain. It keeps you from falling off the edge and embarrassing yourself and hurting yourself and wasting time.
Yeah.
It's not this prison cell. There's so much creativity you can have. It just keeps you from like, okay, and also if you know the rules, you can bend them. Like sometimes it's like an equation. Like, okay, I know usually we're supposed to have a pre-chorus here, but what I'm going to do is put it on the back end and blah, blah, blah. Because there's a mathematic to it to a degree sometimes.
Boundaries are good, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I think that I always use the example of like a basketball game. Like, if you just said, if you told a basketball player, like, hey, there's no out of bounds, there's no key, there's no half court line, it's not an art and there's no skill anymore. You know what I'm saying? I can just bring a ladder and just climb up the ladder and drop the ball in the, you feel me? Like, that's what makes it an art form. That's what makes it a craft and what makes it a skill. Like, people are so anti, fuck structure, fuck boundaries. It's like, well, at that point, it's like how do you qualify, you know, whether or not, and not to say that you had, like, to your point, you can bend the rules, you know what I'm saying? But like, learn the rules and then break them.
No, and that's the thing. Like, when, you know, Frank Ocean, he, you know, breaks a lot of the rules.
Yeah.
But his first out thinking about you, okay, lyrically, it was kind of very abstract. But song structure wise, it was verse, chorus, bridge, chorus.
Bro, Taylor's
He
all the
was
time
playing the rules.
and also he is like, thinking about you, you know, no, now I'm thinking about you, you know,
repetition.
Repetition,
Thinking
bro.
about you,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm
Like, because if
still-
he really wasn't following structure, he wouldn't have given us the same thing twice.
And that's the thing. It's like, so he now, on his last project, Blonde or whatever, he's like all over the place, but he's kind of earned that from us.
Yeah.
We're like, we kind of trust him for him to take us along on the ride. But he's still working with, well, he might bend the rules. He's still working within the framework of, you know, song structure.
So, certain artists have been appointed, like I think Kanye is another one of those, you know what I'm saying? Where you actually sometimes, certain artists, you want them to do something that feels complete. And certain artists are more like a comma to me. You know what I'm saying? They're like, hey, here it goes, complete it for me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to perfect this. This was supposed to be chaotic and disruptive so that you could then complete the sentence. You know what I'm saying? And I think that like a Frank Ocean and a Kanye West to me are two artists that come to mind who are like that, to where I'm like, I can listen to a Kanye West project and be like, that don't make no sense to me, but like that shit made me want to go in the studio and like make it make sense.
It was like,
you know what I'm saying?
It's like, oh wow.
Yeah.
So everybody can't necessarily do that. Like, you know, what, like Beatles, most of their stuff, which are like classic songs, mostly traditional song structure. It's like, there's no reason to, I really had to learn, because I was really that, you know, you always talking about that woo-woo and stuff. I was so that. I was just, I'm got to be different for the sake of being, and it's like, no, for the sake of being different doesn't work. If you're different because, hey, I really think this could work, and I'm going to see how I can make it work within the framework of this industry that is real and alive. Like, and so every now and then you hear it in pop, but I hate when people use the fringe examples as a standard. Like, it's like, I think in a Stevie Wonder song, the bridge is like after the first verse.
Yeah.
And it scares me. I'm like, he put the bridge, it's like, I think it's like ass or something. The bridge is mad early in the song. I'm like, why does he gets it? That's after the first verse.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is he doing? And it never comes back again. It's like, whoa, he really did it mad early. There are like random things that can happen like that. And he might have done that intentionally. Like, yo, I wonder if anybody will notice. Most people didn't, because he's Stevie. Because he had already, when you're coming in the gate, that's also when it's maybe more important to, like, say if I was selling tires, right? And say if I actually developed an actual tire that was better than a circle and it looked like an oval. Say if it was actually better. You better damn well build my confidence, and then you can just make a regular tire first. You better damn well do that first.
Yeah, that's
Then
facts.
I'll go along with you with these oval tires that you say are better.
Exactly.
Then I'll go along with it. But until you can do the thing that's been working, nobody comes out the gate super crazy. I mean, again, there are fringe, you know, examples and everything. Yes, but for the most part. So, okay, to actually answer your question, as far as like, one of the things that makes good songwriting is finding creativity within the maybe like the 1 to 5 different types of songwriting structure that have been working for a very long time, and not looking at that as some sort of like burden, but using it as like, oh, I can do a lot of things. Let me use this structure to my benefit.
Yeah.
And everything, as opposed to fighting against it because you want to be different and you want to be, ooh, I'm going to come at it. No, like I had to learn that I am different because nobody else can be me at this point in time with this voice in this moment. Nobody can do it but me. So that's different enough. So once you're focused on that, like I'm trying to, when you let go of trying to be so weird and everything all the time. You can actually be honest. You can maybe say something that's like how you really feel, and it could really touch another human being.
Yeah. And you might fuck around and do something that's spontaneously weird.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to have guidelines, and within those guidelines be like, oh, let me try this. You know what I'm saying?
This. Or like, especially when you know, okay, if you know why something, because if you don't know why something, okay, here's an example. Really good song, it worked. He made a lot of money on it, and it was sampled a bunch. All Gold Everything. That song is like literally a 32, what is it? It's like an 8-bar chorus, a 32-bar verse, and an 8-bar chorus.
Mm-hmm.
Kid you not. That is the entire song. It's an 8-bar verse. 8-bar chorus, 32-bar verse, and an 8-bar chorus, the entire song.
Yeah.
And it worked in that moment but it was also more of a novelty. So you can't, that's not the example, that's the exception.
Yeah.
So, but then it's like, there's this cool story I heard Dr. Luke say, and I'm going to shut up for a moment. Dr. Luke was talking to some producers I know, and he was like, you know what is wrong with you guys? When I go into, and I'm so sorry for butchering the story if I'm saying it wrong. Mm-hmm. He was like, when you guys go in the studio, you're trying to make magic. I'm trying to make lemonade. And they were, of course, like confused. They were like, what do you mean? He was like, well, I know I'm making lemonade. I know there's a certain amount of water I'm going to need, certain amount of sugar I'm going to need, and a certain amount of lemons. I don't know how much quantity it's going to be on the day, but I know, I'm going to put these elements together that's going to make lemonade. You guys, you go in, you got some ketchup, Worcestershire sauce, some sand, stardust, a banana, some tinfoil, and it's magic, but then you can't repeat the steps.
That part.
So you don't have a guideline of like, how do I get back to that feeling? You're just like throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what works, as opposed to going in with okay, this is something that can actually get me to that point. Yeah. Like, guarantee you, the people that are successful back to back to back, it's different music and different vibes, but it's like, okay, they're getting back to that feeling. Yeah. Like, so they'll know when something's missing.
Yeah.
They'll know when something, this needs a little bit more of this. Or I need this. They might not even be able to express what it is, but they'll be like, it's missing that something. And they'll just maybe describe it in a certain way because they know how to get back there. Like, this is good, but it needs a little bit more sugar. Too much lemon on this one. Ooh, a little bit more water, and we got it. So it's not just random, I'm just being creative. It's like there's creativity within boundaries, like you said.
Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna lie, you kind of gave my answer. Like, I would kind of just echo that. But no, that's great, because that means, I ain't gonna talk if it's not necessary. But essentially, I feel the same. You know what I'm saying? Like, understanding the game, understanding the boundaries, and then like making intentional choices within the game and within the boundaries. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I guess if I could add to that thought, one of the thoughts that I had was like, I kind of feel like rappers are some of the best songwriters in the world. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I'm so glad that my origins in terms of songwriting was rap, because then when I made the transition over to writing like pop, R&B, folky shit, I feel like I was given like a superpower, which is that we have to say something exciting or interesting every 2 to 4 bars.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, rappers are constantly thinking like, how can I take this to the next level? Like, how can I outwit myself? How can I really drive this point home? So I think from a lyrical standpoint, rap gives a great blueprint, and I recommend that any lyricist of any genre studies the rap genre. You know what I'm saying? Because
I like that.
Yeah, if you can get to the point where every 2 to 4 bars you're doing something intentionally exciting, even that in and of itself will elevate your songwriting.
Actually, I love the exciting thing. That was something that I learned as I started to perform more. At first, I was just writing songs.
Yeah.
Then I started performing. I was like, I'm actually standing in front of people for 10 minutes at a time or more. So it informed my writing, because it was like, hold up, if I don't have a moment here, this is boring.
Yeah.
And so you write in a way, I think visually when I'm writing as well. Like, how does this look? How does this feel? Am I giving people a moment? Is there, like, I've literally thought, like, I've seen crowds in my head while writing a song, like, ooh, when I do this, they're going to do this. And then I would perform it with that intention. And they literally did the thing that I thought that they would do. Because you get to this whole connection of like, okay, I've done this a bunch of times and I know how people respond now. Yeah. So let me add that to my writing. But a large part of it is like, I can't just be sitting there just talking.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a part of it, but if it's just that, that's boring.
Yeah.
What is going to keep people's, what is going to get and keep people's attention?
Yeah.
What are changes I can do? And
or
again,
if you are going, go ahead, what are you saying?
no, but a lot of the songwriting format and little tools like, repetition and stuff and whatnot, they actually have a subconscious thing that actually works with people. The funny thing is, and I was trying to tell one of my friends this, is like, you have to understand that like the common listener, they are used to digesting music in a certain way to where if you actually don't do the things that they're used to, they'll not like it and won't know why they don't like it.
Yeah.
They won't even, like, there's this amazing Yeba song that I love. And the big thing, like the song might have actually charted, but when they went to the second verse, they chose a different melody. And they kind of put the bridge, it kind of ends up being a bridge into the second verse. And I was like, if they would have went back to the same melody in the first verse, I play it for people and I actually ask them to, like, imagine how would that sound if they went back and it's like, oh my God, you've been off to the races.
Yeah.
It was like, now you're cooking. You believe them, you love the chorus, and then they just do something completely different on the second verse. And it's like, oh man, if you would have just repeated that melody.
But then there's also an argument to be made for it, which again goes to bending and breaking the rules, that people gonna listen to it again because they want to hear that first verse again. You know what I'm saying? Like if it don't have, so there's also, sometimes you do intentionally make the choice of like, you know what, I am gonna cut it right there. You know what, I'm not gonna give them that again. You know what I'm saying? Because they might hit that repeat button. They might run it back.
That and everything. But in this case, it just took it. It turned it into like a confusing. I'll probably play the song. I don't know if we could ever play songs on this and everything, but I almost want to play the song for you guys and everything because it's such a beautiful song. Like that song is just deep. Yeah. But it kind of goes to a bridge on this where the second verse should be, and it kicks you out of the song. Like you have all this emotional energy, and it's just like, and y'all know Yeba can blow. Yeah. And so I literally am like, I want to remix that song. It irks me so bad. Yeah. I'm like, can we just do it? And we'll just do something else on the second verse. Yeah. And I don't know.
That actually brings me to another thought, which is like, another way I feel like I qualify and this is just, I'm not to put myself on like a high horse by any means, but just my personal taste.
It's a short horse.
Yeah.
Little pony horse.
Like another way that I qualify great songwriting, or a great songwriter rather, is like if you're not dependent on like leaning into the abstract. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like, because no, real talk. Like some people, it's like everything that they do is abstract, and everything that they do is make of it what you will. And to me, sometimes it feels like an excuse for not being able to clearly deliver your point or your thought.
Look,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you're talking about this because look, man, this is the thing. I personally love that. Yeah. But I refuse to do that because it's like, I want people to grab what I'm doing at a certain point. There's some artists that like kind of can do it and they do it half. Like that's one thing I liked about Lord. Like a lot of her stuff is abstract. Yeah. But she does these things. It's like it's ebb and flow. It's really stream of consciousness. That's the way she kind of writes. Yeah. And so there'll be these very foundational, tangible things, and then something abstract, like
that's perfect. That's balance.
And it's balanced. So it's like this thing that you can relate to, and it's something that's very fanciful that you can't relate to, or like, oh, that's a what?
No, let me clarify.
And then it brings it back, and then it like kind of, so it's kind of this ebb and flow of like abstractness.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I love that. Let me clarify that like abstract can be awesome. I'm saying if you are dependent on abstract, if everything that you do is abstract, I look at it as like, maybe there's an undeveloped muscle. You know what I'm saying? Like I think the abstract should again be a tool. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm going to intentionally be a little bit more abstract here. You know what I'm saying? And then when the hook comes, I'm going to clarify this. You know what I'm saying? Or like, oh, this is going to be my left of center record, and they gonna make of it what they will. But like, I'm gonna bring them back with the next record.
Now I have to ask this one: who isn't? And no, it's okay. We love everybody, but who's maybe, or is there an artist that you're thinking maybe does that? There's one I'm clearly thinking of. But
okay, so for that conversation, so let me first say that I actually love this artist. But the conversation that I always have, I've actually had this several times this last year.
Please.
Is Lauryn Hill versus Erykah Badu, right? And that debate. And I personally am a strong advocate for, like, I think I prefer Lauryn Hill's artistry to Erykah Badu's artistry. And it's because, granted, Erykah Badu's such a vibe. She's like, she is such a. I have nothing really horrible to say about her, but I will say that I have to be in a particular space to ingest her music. And 9 times out of 10, it's more of like an energetic thing. You know what I'm saying? It's more like, oh, like this is, it's almost, if I'm honest, it's almost background music. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I'm trying to set a vibe. You know what I'm saying? But like, I listen to Lauryn for, again, clarity of thought. You know what I'm saying? And like, just like lyricism. You know what I mean? And
She's
like,
saying exactly what she means.
I
Like,
am
boom,
a
boom, boom.
communicator, and I am here to communicate a point. And when you are done listening to this, and granted, that's not to say she don't lean into the abstract as well. She has both muscles, because if you listen to the Unplugged,
it was like, you're like, what the hell?
It's a lot of stuff where you like, wait a minute.
What the hell
The
are you
mystery
talking
of
about?
iniquity. You know what I'm saying? Adam lives in theory, you know, but like, I just feel like that's the first comparison point that comes to mind in terms of like whose catalog I prefer over the other for that reason.
I thought that.
But again, let me clarify, like, I fuck with Erykah Badu heavy.
Oh,
you
no,
know?
everybody. Yeah, I thought that you were either going to say Frank Ocean or Kendrick Lamar.
Oh.
Because, like,
Yeah.
sometimes, and I love Kendrick. I have his CD in my car right now. I found it, and it made its way into my CD player, and I haven't taken it out, so I keep listening to his songs. Good Kid, Man
What
City.
the hell are you talking about? You got a CD player?
I know, right? I didn't know I had one. I was cleaning
I
out
don't
a
know why
storage.
you was talking about archaic technology. Like you just aged
know. This is
everybody
the
was
thing.
listening.
I was cleaning out a storage.
Anybody under 20 was like,
I cleaned out a storage facility,
Like,
a storage unit, to use a
CD
storage
players.
facility, and there was a CD there, and I was like, "Oh, dope!" And I was like,
them things that look like DVD.
yeah, it's crazy." And I put it in, and it played, and I was like, "Oh, this is nice." But yeah, like sometimes he can lose me, but you know, I'm along for the ride, and sometimes I have like, you know, but then he'll have the track. I feel like he does that balance thing, but he does it song to song. Like some songs, abstract, you ain't getting nothing but, and then other songs is like, oh, this is my single, so you got to understand me a little bit because I need to reach and everything. And so, you know, that
Sometimes you like a riddle, bro. That's what it is. Like that's how I consider them riddle.
Yo,
they
do
make
be a
riddles,
riddle.
bro. And you're like, huh?
it do be
Okay.
a riddle.
You're like I
Man.
like the challenge of filling in the blanks for you. However, sometimes I'm like, are you capable of filling in those blanks though? And that's the question for me that makes me go like,
Oh, yeah.
are you excellent or is this a crutch? Like, are you
Yeah.
capable of filling in those blanks or are you not filling in those blanks because go ahead. What were you
And
saying?
I'll play devil's advocate. Why you need to know it?
Hold on, what?
I think that's at the end of the day, that comes down to like this, almost like the
reason-
sport of it. I'm involved in the sport of it because I do it professionally.
Okay, so you look at
that's
it
what I'm
as a
saying.
contemporary.
Exactly.
Okay, because the reason why I let y'all talk because y'all were kind of on the same plane, and I wanted y'all to get all through your points before
Yeah.
you say that because I was going to be not on the same plane with y'all.
That's
I like
perfect.
it. I
Yeah,
like
no,
it.
no.
I
Yeah,
like
give
it.
me a thought. Yeah.
So, and it's not devil's advocate. It is
Mhm.
half devil's advocate, and me leaning into it versus, you know, I agree with the points that were said before, but I would hold myself accountable to looking at songwriting as essentially a universe comprised of these.
Oh, damn. Here we go.
All of these different planets, and all of these planets represent purpose and the purpose of the song. And the thing is, so that's why I think is when you're trying to, you know, denote a great songwriter, you need to understand the purpose of the song or the purpose of the songwriter. Because the reason why you like rappers, because they're great lyricists,
Yes.
but melodically they can be terrible.
True.
So the reason why you might like great singers
Mhm.
is because they know how to deliver, but they might be terrible at songwriting themselves, but it's very catchy.
And,
So-
and they emote as well.
Yeah, and they emote.
Mhm.
Yeah, so things like so, and it's based on the purpose of the song, so or the purpose of the writer as far as what they are to deliver. Because there are some artists that are only there to deliver the abstract because you can't have it any other way. So the purpose of their songs, I think we skipped over is like, who is it appealing to?
Yeah.
Who's the song for?
That's
Yeah.
good.
So-
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah.
So like, yeah. So the thing is, a lot of us are judging certain songs that even make it into the masses because it was a really good song that made it into the masses, but it was never intended for us.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
there's a lot of times I've had to just be like, oh, this isn't for me.
It's not.
yeah, exactly.
It's
That's
really
fine.
not even intended for us, but because the success of the record, now it's in the ether. It's part of the avant-garde. It's part of the in. It's part of the out. But so when I think about that, I always go back to purpose. So like for me, when it comes to great songwriting, it's going to come down to very simple notions, just like y'all said. But I'm always about story, but it's not the story. Well, it's not only the story of what's written. You have the delivery of lyric, melody, rhythm, and my most favorite, space. And there's not a great uses of space and certain songwriters out there that a lot of people think are great. Not saying that they're not great, but I've noticed that they don't use space at all because, and I'm not saying this is narcissism, but they don't like to hear the music without their voice.
No, that's something that I've actually commended.
Hold up. I want him to complete the thought because I feel like he's coming in like a sage right now.
He's even holding his hands like that.
So like, because the thing is, I'm not disagreeing with anything y'all said because we're pretty much all on the same page. But
no, you're going deeper, and I like it.
I'm going deeper only because I got this from someone else that told me to listen to it differently, and these turned out to be some great songwriters. They like won, John Lennon competitions and stuff like that. So they were just like, yeah. So like going back to what I said with the song, it's the delivery of lyric, melody, rhythm, and space. And many times, a great songwriter will tell a story in all four quadrants.
Yeah,
they'll tell a story with melody, story with rhythm, story with space, and obviously the story with the lyric. And
I just got chills, bro. You giving like a musical sermon right now.
But the thing is, you can feel it because the thing is, some people will just do a gradual increase or a progressive load of density when it comes to music. Like think of it as like, even when you're weightlifting, sometimes if you're lifting weights, when you want a progressive load, you want to add more reps, you want to add more weight, you want to add more time in between your rest and stuff like that. So even when songwriting, a lot of times people start out, how sometimes if they want to get you somewhere, they start off a little bit small, give you a little bit of lyric here, a little bit of lyric there, not too much notes. So basically your line, melodic line is kind of doing this.
Yep.
And then as the song
I do that.
progresses, it turns into a very thick sine wave.
Yep, I do that.
And it also does that rhythmically. And then you notice how even with rap or even with pop songs, we double up on rhythm in the second verse. So, and then you do the same thing with melody. You change your dynamic range of melody, meaning that your intergalactic structure, like you're more likely to move further with that line. You add more higher notes, you go a little lower, you thicken your harmonies and things like that. And then people could go the opposite. They progressively leave less space for you to operate towards the end because they probably just demonstrated their point earlier. So, but one thing I love about songwriters, because there are songwriters that are great, not just punchline writers, but there are people that are delivering messages, but they're also giving you great puns, great double entendres and things like that. My pet peeve is if you miss out on space, not everybody, I have to say it like this, not everybody is as smart as you who wrote the song.
Oh my God, yes.
So when you do all of these things, you hit all these genius moments. You didn't let the song breathe to let us do that. Oh, you said that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Sometimes that goes by so fast. And then you got, the geniuses of the world, or just the high IQ people or the audiophiles. It's just like, yeah, but he said from this to that and then that and this and then all of this and that. And then they were rapping like this. And I'm like, oh, I missed all of that.
No, but you're right.
That was a great line. I would have noticed that if certain things,
I love the way that you describe that because like I've tried to explain that to people. Like I tell people like, no, put yourself in the mindset of somebody who's listening to this for the first time. They're not they're not writing the song.
Right.
So they're hearing it and hopefully you can grab their attention. But if it's just like, they can't really, there's nothing to grab onto.
Yeah.
And so,
and as a producer, if you're going to be a great producer, you're going to have to learn that early. And that's something I learned. And I'm not going to say, I did not learn it early because as a producer, working with a songwriter, producers, we learn how to make music before a song a lot of times.
Oh, absolutely.
Because a lot of you are learning how to make beats first, or even if you know music, you may not have been working with like a songwriter that knows how to really write around a song. And then you learn working with like a really good songwriter, let's just say someone above your pay grade, they'll just let you know, sometimes you can produce a song so much musically,
Yeah.
you've left nothing for the artist to do.
Yeah.
So, and then
I've experienced that for sure.
yeah, and you can't really do that. You can't really produce a good story if basically it's like a Street Fighter fight versus producer versus songwriter fight.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and you just like competing for space in the record, or it's competing for existence and relevance. It was like, this is the hottest part because the beat hit like this. Well, this is the hottest part because I lay it down like that, and things like that. So, you know, those best songs, I think, come in where they are, you know, no way of saying it's not cheesy, but, you know, song and lyric and music comes in very harmoniously to respect all those 4 quadrants of lyric, melody, rhythm, and space. And then like, that's why we love so much the power ballad era of the 90s, where just Whitney Houston, for example, her version of Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You. You get to that break and it's just boom. And just like, she gave you 2 seconds to be like, what's about to happen? Oh, that's about to happen.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the music came in, supported her completely.
Key change,
and they came in thick with new instruments to carry the harmony on the bottom, let her soar over the top. They've increased her reverb on that part, and they gave it space. The song was just like, y'all not ready for this shit. So catch your breath. Here we go. Like, look on YouTube and watch babies watch her sing this. They always have a crazy reaction to when she sings that note.
I'm gonna play that to my daughter.
So, oh yeah, I think it's because maybe it gives you the feeling of like, some finality at when she said, you know, and they don't, you know, babies don't understand form of song. We know the song's not over.
Yeah.
They don't know. They was just like, oh, that was nice. Oh, it's not done. It's not done. You're not done. You're not done.
That's fact.
You know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, and the reason why we love that song so much is partly because of that delivery. You know, that apex. You know, we don't know, like, I hate to say it, but we're not as much anymore. I'm not going to say this because I know people are still doing it, but we're not as much anymore delivering an apex in the music.
Yeah.
We're not delivering like, this is the Everest of this song.
Yeah,
this
a lot
is
of
what
stuff
you're
is kind of
listening.
coast
Everything
through.
flatlines for sure.
It flatlines as a coast, and I was just like, do we have to only listen to the Adeles of the world to get a performance?
An emotional story.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I actually, that's something that I miss in like mainstream songwriting structure is, and just in general, I think in the culture of music, I miss vulnerability, and I miss like the importance of the emotional story. I think that in general, culture has become very a numbing culture where it's more about like being too cool, and that don't faze me, and I'm trying to empower myself or whatever. And it's like I want to feel your heart. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like everybody's sad right now too.
But I think everyone is sad in a very sedated way. Like it's like it's more of like a like I don't want to feel anything because I'm sad in life and I don't want to feel versus like really tapping into the depth of that sadness and really expressing it and emoting it. I think there's 2 different kinds of sadness. One is like I am just like, I'll say just numb. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm so sad, and sad has become so regular that it's more like here. It's a monotone sadness. You know what I'm saying? But all that to say, I feel like, to be honest, you gave all the subtext. Like I feel like Calvin was one side of the bread, I was the other side of the bread, and you came in and you was like, all right, here's the ingredients in the meat. Like you broke it down on the microscopic level.
Yeah, we definitely
we
touched on every angle. Yeah, we did. And leave your thoughts in the
as far
comments
as like songwriting
when it comes to songwriting, because like basically, you know, I guess we get the vibe that we do miss certain songwriting. That's one thing. You know, we do miss the apex music, but we're also can get overwhelmed with people who just want to confuse you in the song. And I was just like, and I'm fine with being confused a lot if I know that this song was never for me in the first place. I just stumbled upon it, and that's fine. I'll do that. So, you know, but if it is for us, you're gonna have to, like, you can't always feed us vegetables. We need meat, fruit, some chips, fried.
That's funny.
Yeah,
You know?
I think I agree, and I really like what you said too about the purpose of that particular artist, that particular voice, that person. Yeah,
because
I think
like
that makes a
there's some
difference.
people that like would wage to say now. You can at me in the comments for this because this is actually controversial because of like when it comes to like, you know, true songwriters like yourselves. But for the purpose of what they are delivering, some of the greatest songwriters of the last 2 decades were the Black Eyed Peas. You know, so but
for the purpose, yeah, I get what you mean. In their lane,
for what they were delivering, like we are
delivering a good time.
Words out of my mouth. They were only delivering a good time. And they were just like, and the thing is, they hit so hard with all those number ones because it was just like, you know, if you know how we spiritually thinking, if you're in tune with what your purpose is and what your productivity is trying to put out, I guarantee you they were all in that room like, we are putting out a party on a record.
That part. Yeah.
Do not overthink it. Do not come with that bullshit.
That's funny.
Yeah.
They probably said that exactly.
Yeah, and they put out a party on a record, and every time it hit, boom, 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 and, you know.
Yeah. Nah, they
and that's literally that's intentionally not overthinking it.
They're not. Oh, yeah, and I'm thinking like, so like
he literally probably just felt like, okay, I want something to feel like this, and it was like, no, that.
No, it's probably literally the 808 was doing that, and he was like, let's not put words to it.
Yeah,
let's just say. Boom, boom, boom.
Exactly. So like in the universe of songwriting, they're the, you know, the Saturn of that, you know, and then in the universe of songwriting, when you got the Frank Oceans and the Kendrick Lamars, we'll put them on Pluto because that's a planet that's not for everybody. Clearly,
and it's not even always a planet.
It's not even always a planet. So
no,
like,
that's great. It's the basketball team theory. It's like you don't want a bunch of point guards on the team. You know what I'm saying? If you want to watch an entertaining game, you need the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone is there to express a different thing and for a different purpose.
I like to your point about like, you know, the purpose of a song. Like I think that, you know, especially when people get older and stuff, they start getting really critical of songs that are out now. And it's like, okay, like somebody could easily be over the age of 30 and then say, oh, Lil Uzi Vert, I just want to rock. Oh, that's whack. But to the people it's for,
but who it's for.
Bro, I've been to a concert when that came on. It's different.
For who it is for. I mean, like, it's a hard lesson to learn because like the minute you realize that you have dissimilar tastes of the masses when it comes to urban music, your ears are no longer to the street.
But no, the funny thing is, so like I learned that at my old boss at Atlantic Records, Daryl Jones. Shout out Daryl Jones. He said something to me in the office, and I had to ask him because it didn't make any sense. It was this Britney Spears record that was out at the time. She was doing a comeback, or I don't know. And he was like, I remember we listened to the song in the office, and he was like, "Oh, this song is like, I hate this song. It's gonna do great." And I was like, "What?"
I mean,
he was like
a very profound.
And I literally had to ask him, and I was like, "Sir, what do you mean?" He was like, "Oh, okay." He realized I didn't get it. He was like, "You have to be able to discern between your personal taste of what you like and what the masses like, and it's okay also, that it's not the same thing all the time."
And I'll add to that what makes a good songwriter and producer, as far as like even us and people on our level doing certain things that we may not even know about ourselves at this point. Some of us don't know our barometer of where we fit in the industry as far as what we love. Because the thing is, you need to have a love, hate, 0 to 10 situation. Where things you hate, 0, things you love, and that you love, 10. And then you need to find out, you know, based on everything that you put out, what number is the most successful you do. If you find out that your most successful music is a 4, then you need to figure out what the purpose is for your music. Because your purpose is for success, monetary gain, you need to make sure you're around that 4. Because when you put out them 4s, you're making dollars. When you put out them 8s, they're like, you only getting the deep cuts and listeners and stuff like that. You only getting the B-side listeners, maybe. You never know. But know where you are on your barometer. Like, because the thing is, your barometer could be different. You may not have that in-depth style of songwriting, and your favorite songs are the masses' favorite songs, and then you just hit the lottery because you just got to do what the fuck you want to do all the time. Yeah. So like,
that sweet spot of what you love and what they love.
Oh my God. Yeah. I've literally like put that on a graph for people to see. It's like, you're gonna like certain things, but people don't want everything from you. Right. And that is not a bad thing. Like, once you, again, there's this whole process of me just realizing that it is an industry. and that it's okay, and that there is stuff for you to do within it and stuff. So figuring out like, okay, what of all the things I would like to do, what do people like from me?
Yeah.
And it might not be your favorite thing that you like to do.
Yeah.
But it's like you this is a service industry, and I know that it's maybe we don't think about that. But this is very much a service industry.
It's a service industry.
This is
to make money.
McDonald's, Burger
Industry
King.
is based on service.
Yeah. We're not just making stuff for ourselves. There is a consumer. Now, a cool thing, I can't remember who I heard that somebody was asking this jazz musician, asked him a deep question. It was like, oh, who does the jazz person, who's the pianist make music for the most? The himself or the listener? And the answer, I think it was when Marcellus was up like, well, the instrumentalist is the first listener.
Yeah.
And I was like, Jesus, I about passed out.
The
So
instrumentalist is
your
the first
taste
listener.
is important.
Yeah, and he said that right. I remember I forgot what
I
show
about
that was.
fainted when I
But
heard that.
It's a very. You can look up
About
that
fainted.
clip. You can look up that clip.
It's
That's a
such a
very
good clip.
important clip that lets you know that your personal taste
Mm-hmm.
is the first thing that will affect
It's
everything.
the first
else.
filter. For real.
It's the first filter. And you'll know based on what people like or don't like.
Mm-hmm.
What your taste is. Not saying it's good taste, not saying it's bad taste, but you're going to find out if your taste is similar to the masses or dissimilar.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean you can't be successful. You just need to be a good writer.
And there's a season too. Like it's about studying the times and the seasons, as PT used to say.
Exactly.
Oh, my Lord,
Studying the
bro.
times and the seasons and understanding that not every season is your season, but everything moves cyclically, and you got to know when to jump in. You know what I'm saying? Or
Catching that
actually,
wave.
more than that, you got to be consistent and you got to be true. You know what I'm saying, to what it is that you do, and understand that your time. Will come. So
do you like if I feel like you're gonna have seasons. If you want to stick to your season, stick to your season. But if you also, I'm not hating on people who just like are, they're trying to wear a lot of hats in the songwriting industry. So if, like,
that's me. I mean, as a sync writer,
if you're a sync writer, you gotta know how to code switch. Black people do it all the time.
literally,
So
I was gonna say that same point. It also depends, because I realize I look at songwriting through a different lens, because I am somebody who am in this kind of a session one day, in this kind of a session the next day, and even my artistry, I'm expressing all of that. You know what I'm
because
saying?
you
Like,
gotta physically code switch. You gotta think differently. The thing is, those sessions are different.
Yeah,
You I'm in this type of record, and then I'm like this type of record, and you're just like, I'm like this type of record.
literally, yeah.
It's like, and you got a code switch, and sometimes you might have to do that more than once or twice a day. And that's like, look, if you need to have a coffee or a shot of whiskey, you need to change your mood. If you're a code switcher. But if you're not, just write your own songs and do what you're gonna do.
Yeah, not everyone is built for that. But I was gonna say, y'all, I don't know about y'all. I think that the songwriting portion was an episode in and of itself.
It was.
Like, I feel like we
It
just
was.
gave them songwriting. I would love to do the follow-up episode with
It was.
what makes great production.
Yeah, we just
was.
don't have to do that.
We tapped on it slightly,
we
but
tapped
we could
really
really go
into
in
this.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
let's do. So this is the songwriting episode for all of y'all who wanted, some insight onto what makes great songwriting. Ultimately, decide what it is for you. And next up, what makes great production?
Yeah. And study the people study the greats. They aren't successful by accident.
That part.
For a long period of time. Like Bruno Mars, every song, standard songwriting format.
Yeah.
Top. They're all winning for a reason. It's not a prison, it's a guardrail.
That's it.
Calvin said, "I'm getting the last word."
No, I saw your finger. I was like, I thought you were gonna hit it.
It was just like, and that's it. For now. Till next time. Till we meet
Same
again.
bat channel.
Oh man. All
Bye,
right.
y'all.